So let's start with Janua, Magica Reserata Part 3. It is yet further to be observed that there is nothing of such transcending virtues which, being destitute of divine assistance, is content with the nature of itself. Therefore all things are full of God, for that all inferior bodies are exemplified by the superior ideas. As an idea is a form above bodies, souls, or minds, and it is but one simple, pure, immutable, indivisible, incorporeal, and eternal. Now the nature of all ideas is the same. Ideas is the first placed in God Himself, by way of course, and they are distinguished amongst themselves by some relative considerations only, lest whatsoever is in the world should be but one thing without any variety, and that they agree in essence, lest God should be a compound substance. Secondly, ideas is placed in the very intelligible itself, in the soul of the world, differing the one from the other by absolute forms, but not that all the ideas in God are but one form, but in the soul of the world they are many. They are likewise placed in the minds of all other things, whether they be joined to the body or separated from the body, by a certain participation, and by degrees are distinguished more and more. They are also placed in nature, as certain small seeds of forms infused by the ideas. And lastly, they are placed in matter as shadows. Now we say that there are many seminal forms of things in the soul of the world, as ideas in the mind of God, by which forms she did in the heavens above the stars, framed to herself shapes also, and stamped upon all those some properties. Therefore on those stars, shapes and properties, do the virtues and properties of all inferior species depend, so that every species had its celestial shape or figure that is suitable to it, from whence proceed the wonderful power of operating, and which propagate and receive from its own idea through the seminal forms of the soul of the world. Ideas are not only essential causes of every species, but are also the causes of every virtue which is in the species. For the properties which is in the nature of things are moved by a certain virtues which are the operation of the ideas, such as have a certain and sure foundation, not fortuitous or causal, but efficacious, powerful, and sufficient, doing nothing in vain. These virtues do not err in their actings, but by the accident, by reason of their impurity or inequality of the matter, so that upon this account there are formed things of the same species, more or less powerful according to the purity or indisposition of the matter. Whence the proverb that celestial virtues were infused according to the descent of the matter. Therefore those things in which there is loss of the idea of the matter, such things which have greater resemblance of things separated, have more powerful virtues in operation, being like to the operation of a separated idea. By all which we plainly see that the situation of celestial is the cause of all those excellent virtues that are inferior species. As God is the beginning and ending of all virtues, and the marvelous disposer of all things, so we must know that He gives the soul of the ideas to His servants, the blessed intelligences, who as faithful officers signal things entrusted to them, with an ideal virtue, the heavens and stars as instrument, disposing the matter in the man while for receiving those forms which reside in divine majesty, and to be conveyed by the stars, and the giver of forms distributes those by the ministry of his intelligences, which he has set as rulers and controllers over his works, to whom such power is entrusted in things committed to them, that so the virtues and operations of all things, as herbs, metals, stones, etc., may come from the governing intelligences immediately, from the first idea, and next from the configurations of the heavens, disposing, and lastly from the compass of the elements dispersed, answering to the celestial influences, by which the elements themselves are disposed and ordered. Now these kind of operations are performed in those inferior things, by expressed forms, in the heavens by disposing virtues, in the intelligences by mediating rules, and in the original cause by ideas and exemplary forms, all which must of necessity agree in the execution of the effect and virtue of everything. And although there be a wonderful virtue, operation, and effect in vegetables, stones, metals, etc., yet is greater in the stars, beyond from which the governing intelligences everything receive it and obtains for itself many things, especially from the supreme cause, with whom all things do exactly and mutually correspond. Note therefore that there is no other cause of the necessity of effects. Show the connection of all things with the first cause, and show correspondence with those divine patterns and eternal ideas, whence everything had its determinate and particular place in the exemplary world, from whence it lives and receives its particular being, originally, and every virtue of herbs, stones, metals, animals, words, and speeches, and all things that are of God are placed there. Now the first cause, which is God, although he doth by intelligences and the heavens work upon those inferior things, yet sometimes he works those things immediately by himself, which are miraculous. And whereas secondary causes do by the command and appointment of the first cause necessarily act, and are necessitated to produce their effect, yet if God shall notwithstanding, according to his pleasure, so discharge and suspend them, and they shall wholly desist from the necessity of that command and appointment, then they are called the greatest miracles of God, as is abundantly manifest in Holy Scripture, but for brevity's sake here omitted. Of angels and spirits. A brief definition of the names, natures, orders, offices, degrees, hierarchies, mansions, and other distinctions of the sacred celestial angels or blessed intelligences and other angelical powers, celestially dignified, both of the air and other elements, together with a summary of the elemental powers or spirits, both of light and darkness, residing in the four elements, fire, air, earth, and water, and the four angles or points of the compass, east, west, north, and south, and other wandering spirits, both elemental and infernal, and other observations worthy of note. An angel is an intelligible substance free from all gross and putrefied mass, of a body immortal, assisting, having influence over all, and in the beginning of their creation were composed of more pure and superior part of the air, whereby they cannot be dissolved by death, in regard of the element, which is more active than passive, is predominant in them, being more fit to act than to suffer. Now the bodies of the celestial and sublime angels are nourished of the most pure ethereal element, and are not rashly to be seen of any woven or and joined together of such bright and splendid shrouds, and so small that they transmit all the rays of our four signs by their fineness, and reverberate by the splendor, and the sea by their subtlety. The which angels, because their bodies have not so much fire as that they are conspicuous, nor so much earth that the solidity of them resists their touch, their whole composure being made of the ambient air, and the diaphanity and humidity thereof, clearness and moisture of the air, had joined together an indissoluble superfield. After which composure and confirmation those bodies were preserved in the good angels, but it was changed in the evil, by reason of their fall, into the qualities of more thick air, so that they might be rendered capable of torment. And although the nature of spirit is not without a body, yet the bodies of good angels and evil spirits is not the same. Angels are not to be understood as though they were subject to the influence of the stars, but as they have a correspondence with heaven, from whence all things are directed, and to which all things ought to be conformable. And as the governing angels are appointed for and set over diverse stars, so likewise diverse places and times, not that they are limited by time or place, nor by those bodies over which they are appointed to govern, but the divine wisdom hath so ordered and decreed, that they should patronize and more favor those bodies, star, times, and places over which they regulate, and to execute and fulfill the will and commandments of God, according to their several and respective offices, as divine dispensation shall appoint. There is no part of the world destitute of the proper assistance, care, keeping, or attendance of the celestial angels, and they send down their influences through the celestial spheres and planets to the place or persons sublunary, and do especially operate according to their several and respective regulations. Angels are of an intellectual and incorporeal substance, always movable and free, the divine messengers of the will of God, serving him by grace and not by kind, and are partakers of immortality. Angels were created of God immortal, innocent, beautiful, good, free, and subtle, and the essence of God himself. Angels have their habitation in heaven, their eyes fixed on the majesty of God, their tongues formed to his progress, and themselves only in him. Angels are careful of men's actions, and protectors of their persons, and everyone's angel that had guided him in his life shall at a later day bring forth him he had governed. Angels are tutors of saints, heralds of heaven, and guardians of our bodies and souls. Angels succeed not in desire not, because they want not in beholding their Creator. The angels have charge to conduct men, wisdom to instruct them, and grace to preserve men. Angels were the first creatures that God made, and do always behold the face of God, wheresoever they are sent. The divine nature of angels suffereth neither change nor end, for they are immutable and divine, and are swift messengers to execute the commands of the highest at his divine pleasure and appointment. There are 9 orders or hierarchies of the celestial angels or blessed intelligences, residing in the 9 mansions, planetary orbs, or spheres of the heavens, thus nominated. First, the order of angels in the sphere of the moon, who perform the lesser messages. Secondly, archangels in the sphere of the planet Mercury, who execute great messages. Thirdly, principalities in the sphere of the planet Venus, who rule over others. Fourthly, virtues in the sphere of the sun, by whom signs and miracles are wrought. Fifthly, potentates in the sphere of the planet Mars, who do restrain the devil. Sixthly, dominations in the sphere of the planet Jupiter, who do excel others. Seventhly, thrones in the sphere of the planet Saturn, whereon God sitteth. Eighthly, cherubim in the orb or sphere of heaven, called the starry firmament, who being full of knowledge do teach. Ninthly, seraphim in the orb or sphere, called the primum mobile, or first movable heaven. As there are 9 orders or hierarchies of sacred celestial angels or blessed intelligences, so there are 9 orders of wicked or infernal spirits, called devils or spirits of darkness, who are said to inhabit and have residence in the infernal world, thus nominated first tempters and ensnarers, secondly slifters, triers or accusers, inquisitors, thirdly forgers, the seminaries of evil, fourthly aerial powers, fifthly jugglers or deluders, sixthly revengers of wickedness, seventhly vessels of iniquity, eighthly lying spirits, ninthly false gods. As touching the appearance of those glorious seraphic creatures, the celestial and good angels, and other celestially dignified powers of light, several are the opinions of some authors, and especially of Johannes Tritemius, the learned abbot of Spanheim. In Liber Polygraph, who saith that never any good angel was said of to have appeared in the form of a woman, which are certain is learnedly answered by a divine and an angelical verity, thus rationally constructed, distinguished, and defined as followeth. It is evident that the angels of God are incomprehensible to those that are their inferiors, for the high order is incomparable unto God, and by degrees those that are their inferiors are also incomparable unto them. It followeth therefore that in respect of that degree in angels, things are incomprehensible. Angels of themselves neither are man nor woman, before they do take forms, according to the discreet and applicable will both of him and of the thing wherein they are administrators, for they are all spirits ministering the will of God, and unto everything within the compass of nature, and the use of man it followeth therefore, considering that they minister not of themselves, that they should minister in the unsearchable form, within the which their executions are limited. Now if Trithemius or any other can say that the woman also had not the Spirit of God, being formed and fashioned of the self-same matter, if Trithemius or other can separate the dignity of the soul of woman from the excellency of man, but according to the form of the matter, then might his argument be good. But because that is in man and woman there is proportion, and preparation of sanctification in eternity alike, therefore may those that are the eternal ministers of God, in proportion to sanctification, take unto them the bodies of them both. For as both you read homo, so in both you find one and the self-same dignity, in infernal matter all one. Now Trithemius spake in respect of the filthiness, wherewith all women are stained, and by reasons from the natural philosophers, as a man fasting more of nature indeed, show of him who is the workman or supernatural master. He concludes his natural invention. In respect of celestial angel, as aforesaid, and the opinion of Trithemius or any other natural conclusion is thus answered, they are all beams of that wisdom, which is the end of man's excellency. And if Trithemius or any natural philosopher doth but seriously and well observe, they shall find that true wisdom is always painted in a woman's garment, for than the purity of a virgin, nothing is more commendable. A brief summary of several orders and hierarchies of some particular angels and spirits. The most abundant God, in his admirable and great work of the creation, hath in his infinite wisdom ordained the heavens as next under the sacred throne of his omnipotent majesty, to contain the mansions and residing places of his holy ministering angels and celestial intelligences, wherein are many orbicular spheres from his mighty seat to the fiery region in which he had located several hierarchies of glorious angels, both of the superior and inferior orders, and placed in the heavenly orbs more superior and the planetary orbs, and the four angles of the heavens, east, west, north, and south, certain intelligences or celestial angels, of several natures and offices, over which is good, and also certain spirits to what is evil, called princes of the air, or spirits of darkness, of several offices also, under all which are numberless of subservient angels and spirits, who execute the immediate decrees and heavenly will of the Most High God, both as to mercy and justice, on whomsoever or whatsoever he is, or shall be pleased to command them. The mighty God had also constituted and appointed particular and a royal angel to govern Heilig, which is the matter of four elements, of which the element was in his great wisdom and marvellous workmanship only composed and made, under whom are also many subjects, and had likewise ordained angelical princes or governors of the four elements, and ministers under them, and also had divided the celestial girdle of the zodiac into 28 angles or parts, which are known to and called by the sons of men the so many mansions of the moon, and constituted so many presidential angels therein, and who had again divided the heavens into 48 angles or parts, 18 whereof are superior and celestial, and the other 30 more inferior and aerial, whose mansions are not alike, nor power equals. for that he had miraculously placed 18 divisions above the fiery regions in the heavens, to be the mansions and residences of those glorious angels, who are primitively ordained to be princes and ministers of government over all such superior earthly matters as in their several and respective offices they are constituted and appointed. The other 30 inferior aerial angels or divisions he had originally decreed, and amongst other wonderful works of the creation orderly placed one above another, from the earth to the fiery region in the highermost part of the air, wherein they are located 91 angelical princes or spiritual governors, and many other subservient angels under them, who are the spirits of the air, not rejected but dignified, and who are governed by the 12 angels of the 12 tribes, which 12 angels are again governed by the 7 mighty angels which stand before the Most High and Holy Throne. An unspeakable presence as dispositors of the heavenly decrees, preordinately determined, who transmit the divine will and pleasure of the highest unto the 12 tributary angels, and who again distributed and passed the same unto the 91 aerial princes, unto whom the government of the earth is by divine determination delivered, in its several primitive divisions and limited partitions, and whose offices are by superior appointment and commands sent forth or emitted and given to them, to bring in and again dispose terrestrial governance and governments, and vary the nature of things, with the variation of every moment, unto whom the providence of the eternal judgment of God is already opened, and who hath also most seemly and uniformly distributed the earth into 4 angles or quarters, east, west, north, and south, and also placed a watchtower, and constituted a mighty and regal angel therein, as kingkeeper, governor, and principal watchman in each particular watchtower, set over the 4 respective angles of the world, to protect and defend all mankind from the usurping blasphemy, stealth, misuse, malice, and temptations of the wicked and great enemy of God's glory, and the welfare of his servants, the sons of men, children of the creation living on earth. The devil and spirits of darkness, to the end that their enviousness might be bridled, the determinations of God fulfilled, and his creature kept and preserved within the compass and measure of order, and who again hath ordained and constituted under each angelical monarch, governing each several watchtowers, 6 great and benevolent angels, called seniors or senators, to judge the government thereof, and to fulfill his determinate commands, as it is written and remembered by St. John in his Apocalypse, and had likewise placed under every their respective mighty prince and 6 spiritual seniors of each terrestrial angular watchtower, 16 goodly angels of light, to be dispositors of the commands of their superiors, under whom also are many subservient angels of several natures and offices, whose names are contained and to be found, amongst many other admirable collections, in 4 tables or notes or historical figures, which are severally and respectively referred to the 4 angles or quarters of this terrestrial world, as they together with their uses were delivered out of oblivion, and brought to light by the ministry of the celestial angel Ave, and by him verified to be the same, and by the ministry of the celestial angels or blessed intelligences was revealed to Enoch, whereby he became wise, had the spirit and wisdom and the knowledge of the earth and the creatures thereof, together with the secret properties of all things therein contained, whose mansions are situated in the lower moist or inferior part of the air, next unto the superficies of this earthly fabric, and thus hath the Most High God, in his unsearchable wisdom, ordained and appointed numberless any glorious celestial, aerial, terrestrial angels of light, and many other benevolent angels and dignified spiritual creatures, of several names, natures, orders, and offices, some known and many unknown unto the sons of men, residing or inhabiting in the several celestial orbs of air, mansion, ears, elements, and matter thereof, angles and divisions, even from the imperial heaven unto this inferior earth, many whereof as the superior or blessed intelligences and other celestial powers of light, he hath in his infinite and paternal mercy preordained and decreed to be very friendly and frequently familiar, both in society and verbal converse, with his servants on earth, and many other elemental powers, dignified more inferior, and also not dignified, to give obedience to the will of his servants, the Son of Men, when they see them, by all which we may here wonderfully observe, that God hath admitted of no vacuum in his most admirable work of the creation, but that heaven and earth is full of his glory and inestimable majesty. For his creatures are the glory of his countenance, whereby he glorifieth all things, it exceed the capacity and understanding of man. So that is part 3, and we have to do yet one more. I love you all. Bye for now.